Oh, Israel, put your hope in Him.
Hey, good morning to you all. Chris Wilson with Torah and Messiah YouTube channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like the content here, share it with somebody. This is our daily devotional number 3, and today is the 27th of June. Just about to head off to work, and I wanted to talk about generosity, not in the means of giving money, giving offerings, or giving in that manner, but just having a generous spirit. And I was trying to look through examples throughout the Tanakh or the Old Testament of examples of such men who just had a generous spirit about them in their actions, where they would just give the shirt off their back. And again, I don't want it to be focused around giving, because if you type in on the Google search box, as I did, examples of generosity in the Bible, what you'll find is most of the church talking about, at least in the search queue, something having to do with tithing and offerings. And that's not what I want to focus on. Because generosity, having a spirit of generosity, something that has taken me a long time to understand. And it's, I think, because of the culture around us. You know, when we go to work in our corporate jobs, we're always on the lookout for something that we can go to another person on the behalf of something that will benefit me. So I sit in a cubicle all day. Not really, I mean, I'm in my dump truck office, but as an example, I sit in my cubicle all day, and there's no human interaction. There's no, hey, let me help you do this, just because. Hey, let me help you get this task done quicker for more efficiency. Let me help you because I want to help. We don't really have that service of gratitude or a servant's heart anymore. Everything's based on me. And we send emails back and forth, and that's our only interaction, except from maybe the 1 to 2 o'clock conference meeting or the morning conference that you may have before your day to talk about analytics and goals and metrics and numbers and marketing and the quarterly earnings or the quarterly P&L report of what you might lost or gained in profits, expenditures, and things of that nature. And even then, people are on their cell phones half the time. And so we've kind of gotten away from human interaction and the basic form of survival of helping out our fellow mate. And so I wanted to talk about the generosity aspect of being so generous and expecting nothing at all in return, because there's a true blessing in that. And you know, there's many proverbs that speak on generosity. Proverbs 22:9, for example, says that he who is generous will be blessed, for he gives some of his food to the poor. Now, I just want to talk about, you'll be blessed if you even give, in our day and age, some of your very own livelihood, some of your time. Because oftentimes we look at others and we cast a pre-judgmental picture upon that person based on what we see on the outside. And we think, well, he's not important enough for me, so therefore I'm not going to expend some of my time on him or her. And I just want to be honest and transparent. I've fallen guilty to this many a times. And the thing of it is we should just be so willing and open-hearted to approach anybody despite the situation. And we should never think of our time as so valuable that we're willing to pass somebody up. And it's an altering in your mindset. And so being so generous in any aspect or area aside from giving, but just giving of your life to other people. You know, I think it says in Romans chapter 5 that I know in John 3:16, for Yahweh so loved the world that he sent his only son into the world to save all of those who believe upon him. But the one that there's no greater love than this, for one to lay down his life for another. And that's not the one in Romans, I don't think. The one in Romans has something to say along the lines of, for Messiah so loved us, and yet that while we were still sinners, Messiah died for us. You know, he was so generous that he offered his life for us. But I'm talking about being so generous in the aspect of not expecting anything back in return. To be able to just willingly help somebody in any area or aspect without expecting anything in return, having true generosity. And it can be something very hard to portray or even to lead by or even to execute. And you look around in our bookstores or ads that pop up on Facebook or YouTube or books that you may have read, they're all focused and centered around me. You know, the 5 steps on how to become a millionaire, the 7 steps on how to lose weight, the 10 steps on how not to be broke, the 10 steps to leverage debt and become rich. They have shifted this ideology to focus on self. And you almost, because you're so focused on self, you'll do anything to gain leverage and momentum for self-exaltation or self-growth. And we lose sight of our fellow brother and sister or our neighbor, that we tend to push them away because we're so intently focused on me. Whenever you ever seen a book that says the 5 steps to help your neighbor or to help your fellow mate become a millionaire, the 10 steps on how to help your fellow mate or fellow neighbor lose 10 pounds, or how to lose weight, or how to do this, or how to achieve this, how to reach this accolade or this goal. But when we start focusing and centering our life upon what our Messiah did, and we understand to have a servant's heart, a heart of servitude, and the more we take a step back and get ourselves out of the way in order to serve others, the spirit of generosity can really shine forth and showcase itself. And it's really hard. You got to get the level of hypocrisy out of your life, and you got to get the action of doing it to wanting to be seen, to be noticed that you're a generous person. Simple fact is that you should just do it out of the intent of your heart, not to be noticed, but just to want to be a generous person. Because I think that's a reflection of who our Messiah was. He didn't care where he ate at, who he ate with, where he walked, where he sat at a table. He was more focused on other people being pleased. And it's very hard in this day and age that we live, because again, the idea is centered around me and self and how I can gain and how I can rise to the top. Even if that means cutting down my best friend or brother to propel above him in status. Even if that means stabbing this person in the back to get ahead quicker, faster. Because we live in a society of instant gratification and of a forecast of self-awareness, in that while we try to gain ahead, we'll do everything at its cost to get ahead, no matter the pain or the hurt that it might cause someone else. And so a couple of more scriptures. Proverbs 28:27 says, "He who gives to the poor will never want, but he who shuts his eyes will have many curses." I think it's critical that we understand that it's not just the poor that we should be looking after, but everybody. And we should have no discrimination toward the poor, toward the rich, toward a different skin color, toward an age, toward a different gender. But we should always showcase the heart of servitude within us because of the Messiah that is in us. Proverbs 21:6, "The righteous gives and does not hold back." You know, we can complain about being broke and not having enough and always complaining about things being better, but that's looking at the glass as half empty. It's being pessimistic. We should be optimistic and have joy and showcase that joy and give out of a joyous heart of our time, of our resources, of our care, our love, our interest. And you know, there's many times that we can fall prey, especially myself, to That's not interesting, that's boring. I'm not going to give my time to listen to you because it doesn't interest me. And so we can find in many aspects where me, and myself gets in the way of serving, loving, and helping other people, even my wife and my own children, you know? And I think it's a time that we look inwardly and reflect upon our own action of our heart to see if this applies to us. And again, I don't want to have this evolved around money or offering, but think of an offering of your time, of your service, of your talent, of your, not just your resources in financial terms, but of your resources of the gifts that you have. Maybe you possess a knowledge that can help people understand in a way that others can't. Maybe you have the ability to sit and listen for long periods of time and to consume and digest information to help somebody out. You know, do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do it. I love that one, because oftentimes we see that we have the ability to help somebody, yet we choose not to help them. But we were fully capable of doing so. And then oftentimes we might look forward and say, man, I could have helped that person, but something, and it's the flesh, it's the enemy, it's our own mind, that's our worst enemy, that'll try to convince us not to do it. And therefore, the greater blessing is cursed from us receiving that because we didn't give of our time, our energy, our efforts, our resources, of whatever that may be, to that fellow mate, that fellow neighbor, brother, sister. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 17, every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahweh your Elohim, which he has given you. And again, you don't have to apply this to money. I believe that Yahweh has enabled me to be an encourager to people, to be able to understand and disseminate reading and looking at certain types of literature of scholastic authority, whether that's from the medical community, historical community, scriptural community. I just have the ability to look at academic books of all sorts and understand it in a way and apply it to my life and my wife's life and our children's lives. And it's whenever I break that down and understand it, I can help other people apply it to their lives that might not have that capacity to do so, or maybe they're not blessed with that amount of time to put forth that energy to understanding things. Deuteronomy 15:10 says, give generously to him and do so without a grudging heart. Then because of this, Yahweh your Elohim will bless you in all your work and in everything you put your hand to do. Without a grudging heart, you know, sometimes we give because we feel compelled to, but as we're giving off our time, or we're sacrificing our time to help this other person when we know we've got another task that's more important for us to do, we're kind of in our mind grumbling about it, you know. The Apostle Paul says to do all things without complaining and grumbling, murmuring or arguing. And oftentimes I find myself complaining a whole lot, and rather I should be looking at all the blessings that I have and everything that is around me instead of looking at the negative things, because it's so easy to look at the negative things in life instead of picking out the positive things. But rather we should shift and focus our mindset on the positive things so we can be a blessing into other people's lives. Because whoever said, hey, let's go hang out with Chris, because he's so negative and he's always complaining, and he's always whining, he's always looking at things, and he's always looking for things to complain about. Let's go hang out with him. I like doing that. You've never, and if there is someone out there like that, they need Yeshua. They need Yahweh in their life, because let's just face it, no one wants to hang out with somebody who complains and whines and argues and murmurs and grumbles and looks at everything as negative. And man, there's nobody out there like that, you know. But we can always complain. We can always whine about how our life ain't good enough, how things could always be better. If I just had a little bit more money, if I just had a little bit more time, if I had just a little bit better of a car, if I had just a little bit better of a dump truck, if I just had a little bit better of a clothing, a little bit better of a phone, a little bit better headphones, a little better backpack, a little better microphone, a little better coffee cup, a little bit bigger of a truck, a little bit bigger of a car, a little bigger of a house, a little bigger closet, a little bigger bedroom, a little bigger TV, or a better computer. You know, there's so many things that we can look at. It's that easy to fall into that trap. But if we focus on what others don't have, then we'll begin to see all the things that we have and understand the true blessing that we're in. We just have taken everything for granted. And I love this daily devotional because it's a self-reflection on who I am and who my character is, and it allows me to hold myself accountable and to put this into practice. You know, how about sitting down and listening and communicating with your wife your feelings and understanding her feelings and hearing her instead of shunning her aside because I have some book that's more important to read and listen to, because why? I'll gain some knowledge out of it instead of listening to my wife. And I'm just saying that as a general example. I'm not saying that I actually do that, although I probably have. But I'm just using that as an example because there are things that we like to attribute priority to over other things. Our number one priority is our service unto Yahweh and submission to His will and getting ourselves out of the way and out of the picture so He can use us as an earthen vessel to be a mouthpiece for Him to a hurting, lost, and dying world. And not only that, but a leader in our household unto those around us, whether it be our wife, our children, our in-laws, our family members. And our attitude can really put or paint a picture of how we may be for the day, for the time given, for the moment, for that given second, you know, just by how you respond to someone and the hesitance it takes you to respond to someone. That person will already forecast a prejudgmental picture about you because maybe they're looking for a response out of you and you're not giving a certain response or acting in a certain manner, and it's going to cloud their judgment based upon the way you are because you feel a certain way, or you're not wanting to respond in a certain manner, you're not wanting to talk, or you're not willing to be happy or generous. And we got to get that level of resentment. And oh man, it's a challenge, I'm telling you. It really is. Living in a world today where the Messiah says that because of lawlessness, the love of many shall grow cold. And I believe that He's truly speaking about the believers. We're going to get so fed up with lawlessness and the way people are hypocrites around here that our love is going to grow cold. And I just want you to remember that we should always, no matter what, look at the glass as half full, count our blessings, don't take things for granted, because we don't know when we're going to have our life taken from us. It can be just like that. And we should always count our trials and tribulations as joy for the perfecting of our faith. And remember, there's always somebody watching you. So be true to yourself and remain in integrity even when no one around you is looking, because Yahweh is always watching you to see how you're going to handle yourself and conduct yourself no matter what. Well, that's all for now, and I hope this morning devotional blesses you. It certainly has blessed me to hear myself talk to myself, because I feel like this is something for me and I wanted to share with you because it was on my heart. And may Yahweh bless you in your day. May you have a wonderful day today. Stay cool, stay dry, be safe. And I just pray that Yahweh would be with each and every one of you. May He guard your eyes, guard your heart, guard your mind, protect you from the enemy. And I just ask that everybody would submit to the Father, Yahweh, and resist the devil, Hasatan, the enemy. And Father, protect us from harm, sin, and evil. Watch over us. And just give us the ability to learn patience, exercise generosity, and to not be so selfish, Father, but let us help us get ourselves out of the way and focus upon the things that you want us to focus upon. And we thank you and love you, and we thank you for your Son, Yeshua, and we pray this in His name, in Yeshua's name. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time.
You are Israel, my firstborn son. You are Israel.